Hello. Let's see some of the new features that comes in the latest plugin, the latest Maxwell plugin for Rhino 6 and 7. Is this version that you can see here, and it comes back with many new features, improvements, and changes and fixes to make things even more comfortable than before. Okay, the first thing that will catch your eye are the new icons. We have some new here, 4 new here, and another one in the materials toolbar. This one, actually the icon is new, but the tool is not. We just replaced the old one because we were not very happy with it, and we just replaced it with a typical extensions icon filled with Maxwell green color. And on Mac, we also replaced the extensions panel with this icon. I mean, the extensions panel icon with this one, which before was only showing the Maxwell icon, and now I think is clearer than before. Okay, as we are with the extensions, let's see the new extensions we have. We have added the new subdivision modifier extension, and we have added also Maxwell Sea and Maxwell Volumetrics extensions here. And you may think, okay, why they are not in the same panel? Okay, there's a reason for that. That's because the extensions here work as modifiers of other objects, while these two actually create their own objects. So they are not treated in the same way. Okay, let's create one cube and assign a subdivision modifier to it. It's very simple to use. It's very typical subdivision modifier. Currently it's showing weird in Fire. You can see it, but it will do in the render. So you can right click here to render only the selected object and render it alone. So it's quicker, and as you can see, it subdivides the cube perfectly at render time, at least. So that's something we have here. Okay, let's see now the Maxwell Sea. As you can see, it creates a 1 by 1 meters sea patch that already comes with a water material applied. Let's see it in action with some bottom geometry. We have created here. So let me drag it there, and let me scale this up a little bit. Okay, there it is, and just launch a render. So now you can see the sea object comes with a water material already applied, with some attenuation and a blue tint that gets darker and darker as the water gets deeper. You may also notice this problem that the engine has with the light that goes through the transparent objects. So for Maxwell, it takes quite a lot of time to see the caustics behind the transparent objects. So there's something you can do in the object properties panel, which is activating this hide from GI, global illumination, and the water object will stop casting shadows, so it will actually work as a very clear water material with our object, which shows the refractions very quickly. It will show the shadows of those objects at the bottom of the sea, It will show the attenuation very nicely, very transparent here, and it will get darker and darker as the water gets deeper. So I think it will work very nicely this way with the hide from GI activated. Okay, let's also add the Maxwell Volumetrics. In the same way as the Maxwell Sea, you will find its properties in the Object Properties panel Maxwell section. And okay, here we have the default volumetric type, which is constant. It's very simple. You just have a control for its density, and you can apply your own material if you want. You can, for example, create some red fog. Let me apply it to this one, and as you can see, the fog will turn red, and you can create your own toxic environment easily. Okay, well, let's go back to the object properties. Well, you have here the density control, and that's it. It's very simple. But we have other types of volumetric. The next in simplicity is the noise 3D. It's the same as the constant, but it creates a fog with a three-dimensional noise that will give some variations in the density of the fog, so it will be more natural, and you can control the noise with this and these parameters here. And we have two other types: the volume file base, which you can load open VDV files, and you can also use particle files with this type. We are not going to see them, but you can explore them very easily. So as you can see, the volumetrics also are clearing nicely. Okay, let's see another new feature. Let's delete this. See, as you may have noticed, the sea extension already comes with a water material already applied, right? Okay. We've done the same thing with the grass extension. So some of you already asked for these in the past, and well, now it's on. It will feature a nice grass material by default. It has a subtle shine and just a little bit of subsurface scattering that will give the quality touch to the blades. It's single-sided subsurface scattering, so it's intended to be used with a flat type, which is the default. But it won't work so good with a cylinder, for example. Okay, that's great. But well, what's about this new button here? It's called Toggle Visuals, and it will also help you with the grass. Let's see. As you can see, it will display some Maxwell features, some Maxwell visuals in the viewport, and this will help you it will help you a lot to tune up your grass extension without having to launch fire, which we know it's sometimes with the grass is a little bit slow to test these things. So let's make this show more blades. Okay, now it's showing 100%, and we'll display 10,000 blades. Okay, let's change it to shaded, for example, and now you can get a good idea of what's happening with the blades here. And you can, for example, start tuning this. Let's change the bend angle to something smaller, so we get some straighter blades. Let's make them longer, and you will nicely see the effect in the viewport we have having to launch the render. And as you can see, it matches the blades in the render. So it's very useful. And this won't only work for grass, but also for the scatter extension. So it will, in the case of the scatter extension, will mark the guides of and the position of the objects scattered around another object, and their angle, and so on. So it will make it much easier to set this up. Okay, as you can see, there's no material actually added to the grass, but internally it is. You can add your own materials to the grass here. This one is the front face material, but if none is applied here, it will be applied to both sides. But you can also assign a different material to the back face of the blades. So that's interesting. And that relates with a new thing we added to the object properties panel. We have added this back face material to all the objects, and this recalculate normals option, which was missing before. Let's see, for example, with this geometry, we can apply, for example, let's create this. Well, we have this material, red material already created, and let's create another one in blue, for example, very quickly. And we can go back here. Well, we can apply this material to the object, and now it's applied to both sides. But if you come here and choose that material, ta-da, it's applied to the back face only. So you can make these kind of things now. Okay, let's check now this new tool here, the Path Fix tool. It can be accessed from this toolbar, also from this menu on Windows, and also from a command, Maxwell _ pathfix. That's it. In general, it will kick in automatically when you load a scene that has some missing items, textures. It can be HDRs from the environment, can be IS files, whatever related to Maxwell. Okay, I have loaded this scene of the Guggenheim Museum, which has some materials there, and it has some textures, some HDR in the environment loaded here in the different channels. Actually, it has two different ones, one called background and the other one is called sky 01 small. Okay, I have saved these in this folder Guggenheim and with this name. Okay, I'm going to save it there, and just create a new scene here just to unlock the other folder from changes. Okay, so let's go to this folder and just change the name. So the texture path cannot be found in this in the old folder. So I will now try to open the same file here. Okay, And now it will complain. Okay, we'll ask you, there are some missing paths here for AVL images, 12 MXM files from the materials. Would you like to proceed with path fixing? You can skip this if you don't want, but if you say yes, it will be pretty automatic in this case. What has happened, it has looked in the same folder as the Rhino file. So as I have all the textures and MXM file here next to the Rhino file, they are automatically found. Okay, let's try something similar, but a little bit more difficult for the tool. Okay, I have this other folder here. I'm going to copy this same scene to this folder, but this folder is stripped from the textures and files, and I just move them to this other folder here. Okay, so let's try to open that one. And see what happens. It will also complain. Okay, Maxwell has found all these missing paths. Okay, I want to proceed, and now it asks you, plugin cannot find the Maxwell material, blah 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 blah. This one, the first one. You want to replace the file? If you say yes, it will let you look in your computer, and I will tell it to look in this folder where that material is there. I will select it, and it will automatically find all the rest because they are in the same folder. So it's semi-automatic, but it has some intelligence that will help you find all the textures. So it's quite comfortable. Okay, let's see the remaining button. Now in this version we have some new options to export the materials. So this button here will export all of them at the same time to one folder of your choice. Let's see, I have embedded some of the materials, and some of these are referenced anyway. So, well, let's try another one. I'm going to embed this one. Okay, there are some missing files here, so I'm going to run the path fix. And it will let me look for the texture, and it's here. 36 diffuse, this one. Okay, so I will find all the rest. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to try to export all the materials in one go with this button. Okay. For example, new folder, Max, and just select folder. Yes. And let's see. It was here in the Max folder. We have all the new materials here. Okay, we have another option that is not it's not in the button, but any material can now be exported as an MXM file. For example, this one, I'm going to make it I'm going to call it test. Okay, and it will be exported to a file, and okay, it has some textures that I'm going to ask him to overwrite. Yes, yes. And then it will ask you if you want to convert this material to reference it. So let's try that one. Okay, there it is. It has no preview because it's a new material and there's no preview in the MXM file, but you can generate one if you want, and just save it and it will show there. So a couple of new tools for our material that will come in handy. Regarding materials and custom alpha channel, there are some new things in this version 2. In every material, in its global properties, you will find this new box in order to add that material to a custom alpha channel. So in the custom alpha editor, you will find also this new column for materials. So now you can create a new channel that includes both objects, for example this one, and materials. Let's add one material, for example river. So now I will have a custom alpha channel in render that will include this object and this material. Of course I can have them separately. For example, if I only want to add some particular objects like this one, for example this, or I can create just 4 materials like this, and I will add the titanium, for example. Okay, so now if I go to the titanium material in global properties, we will have this channel here, and if I go to the river material, we will have this channel called new channel here. Okay, so you can also create a new channel from here or assign one of the existing ones to that material. So what do I have to do to make them show in render is just activate the custom alpha channel in the output section here, and you could also open the editor, the custom alpha channel editor from there, and just launch a render. Let's see what happens. So now we should expect to have 3 custom alpha channels in this render. Okay, we have the render icon and the custom alpha icon. Let's see, here comes the render, and we have the new channel called new channel, the objects channel that includes only the dock object, and the materials that this included only the titanium material. So everything's fine. In this case we included this object and the river material, so that's what we have there. So it's a very useful tool for post-processing and selecting on and many things like that. There's another new feature that can now be seen in the viewport, and that is that the materials now show their transparency in the viewport. Let's check it with that box and sphere I have here. I'm going to assign this material to them, and it will take into account the layer opacity, and also will take into account the transmittance here, if it goes whiter or darker. It has a limit. If I make them too transparent, they will actually still be visible because it has a minimum of transparency. In any case, this is very convenient for glasses and many other materials. Okay, to wrap it up, I'm going to explain some new parameters we have added to the substance materials, both in the painter and the designer materials. Okay, let's see, for example, in this painter material, I'm going to add these textures, for example, and open a floating preview so we can see it a little bit bigger. Okay, you will notice we have added these three parameters here to control the displacement subdivision, displacement height, and emission intensity, which we couldn't control before. So let's make it use the displacement when we activate height, and we will see a little bit of displacement. So we can now, for example, increase that value so it makes it more noticeable. As you can see there, it's working nicely. Okay, let's do something similar with the substance designer material. We have the same parameters here to control that if the material has those features, of course. So let's try this material, for example, which I know it has both displacement and emission. And let's see, it already loads there. I'm going to open a floating preview too, so we can see it better. And we'll also activate the displacement method for embossment, so the displacement is taken into account, because now it's planar, as you can see. So I activate height. It will take a while because it has to subdivide the geometry of the sphere, but it will show in a minute. Okay, now it's not very noticeable, so let's make it a little bit more intense. You already can see it here. That's pretty noticeable. And also you could increase the intensity of the emission, which, if I'm not wrong, are these parts of the material which have some light emission properties. And there it is. So it's these three parameters are pretty convenient for using these substance materials. I hope you enjoyed the video. I didn't want to make it too long, and it's already too long. So let's see, we'll keep improving the plugin. Hope you like it. Bye bye.